Yes, good morning. You're watching Ireland AM. It's Friday, the 26th of July. It's the last weekend of summer.
Or is it?
Or is it? Let's start that row again, will we?
Coming up on today's show, Taoiseach Simon Harris will also oversee an urgent review of safety measures in taxis after predator Raymond Shorten was jailed for 17 years yesterday. We'll have that story and everything else making today's papers.
In sport, there was heartbreak for the Ireland men's sevens team as they were knocked out of the Olympics by Fiji. We're chatting sport at 7:30.
And it's been a year to the day since the passing of the late great Sinead O'Connor. We'll look back on her life and legacy before 8.
As the dart marks its 40th anniversary this week, have you ever wondered who was behind the iconic train announcement? Please mind the gap. Well, we chat to broadcaster Michael Comyn, the voice of the dart and Irish rail, actually. That's after 9.
You're really good at that, actually, that announcement.
Thank you very much. I do try.
Michael should watch out. And we'll be joined by some little ones as they teach us how to strike a pose with some kids yoga.
Eric Roberts is out and about this morning wearing a very odd-looking pair of high heels.
Yeah.
They suit him, though.
I think it's the new style.
Where are you, Eric?
We're coming to you live here from Castleknock in Dublin. I can barely stand up. I've got a brand new pair of shoes on here. We are at Jump Club Dublin and we're going to be bouncing into the weekend here, you could say. I'm going to be talking to Ali and Anna later on and they're going to be telling me all about why this is the hottest new aerobic exercises in the city. Make sure you come back to us, back to you in the studio.
Initially, I thought he was bursting for a week.
I was going to say, I like that his hair is floppy as well. It really adds to the whole effect.
My ankles are actually spraining even looking at that, to be quite honest. Anyway, more from Eric later on the show. But for now, let's have a first check on your morning paper, starting with the Irish Times. It leads with Garda Chief seeks better consultation on opening IPA centres. It writes that Garda Commissioner Drew Harris has called for a change in the way sites for new accommodation centres for international protection applicants are selected and then opened with a view of minimising violent opposition to them.
Front page of the Irish Independent opens with RTE stars resisted giving details of personal nixers. In an interview with the paper, RTE Director General Kevin Backhurst said a number of individuals did not want to provide information on their personal assets or out-of-hours work on the company's recent transparency register.
Over to the Irish Examiner, which goes with hostile states' threat to Ireland grows. It writes that Ireland's position as a global tech centre and geographic hub for data centres and internet cables is increasingly making it a target for espionage from hostile states, according to a government security report.
On to the tabloids now. The Irish Daily Mail reads, a proper sentence for a vile predator. They write that taxi driver Raymond Shorten has been handed a 30-year consecutive sentence in a judgment that sends a message of zero tolerance to perpetrators.
The Irish Daily Star also covers the Raymond Shorten case with how many more taxi rapes as Gardaí plead with any other victims to come forward.
Over to the Irish Daily Mirror, which also follows the Raymond Shorten case with taxi rapist was sure he'd go free. As the paper writes that Shorten believed he would be out to watch the Euros before his recent sentencing. The
Herald's headline reads, Fat Puss Bro banned from protest site. The paper writes that the brother of veteran criminals Wayne and Alan Fat Puss Bradley is one of 4 men ordered not to trespass at the Coolock site at the centre of anti-immigration protests.
And finally, the Irish Sun writes, Keano's scary movie. The paper writes that football star Roy Keane has been tipped to land a Hollywood role after his top-class acting yesterday in a new Sky advertisement.
Up next, from traffic plans to TV funding plans, we chat through the top stories making today's paper as we're back after this short break. Very welcome back to Ireland AM. CCTV cameras in cabs are being explored to combat sexual assaults as Garda chiefs fear there may be more victims of rapist Raymond Shorten. Joining me with that story and everything else this morning are consumer journalist Siobhan Maguire and political reporter with the Irish Times, Jack Horgan-Jones. Thank you both so much for joining me on the show this morning. Today, the Sunday Independent, Jack, leads with the story about CCTV cameras in taxis on the foot of that sentencing yesterday. Bring us up to date on that.
Yeah, so the Taoiseach yesterday describing the crimes of Raymond Shorten as barbaric, and I don't think there's any other word for it. He was convicted yesterday for 17 years for 2 rapes that took place in his taxi, and obviously had a conviction in a sentencing last week for the rape of a 7-year-old girl. So this has sparked a wider conversation, I think, about safety in taxis, and on the back of that, the National Transport Authority is out this morning and saying that they're going to undertake a review of effectively passenger safety devices, mechanisms and practices within taxi cabs to try and improve safety. So we're looking at things like mandatory CCTV, location services, mandatory separation of the driver's cab in the front from the passenger compartment in the back, all these things which were mooted in previous years and actually roundly rejected without much public support, and made concerns also about data protection and so on. They all seem to be coming back onto the menu in light of this conviction and in light of a wider public discourse about the safety of passengers, and I suppose particularly the safety of women.
Reports as well that 70 people reported either being raped or sexually assaulted in taxis since 2017 until last year. Startling statistics there, but up till now there hasn't been any great appetite for CCTV in cameras because of the potential breach in privacy laws.
Exactly. And as Jack said, I mean, this was mooted in 2016 and 2017 as well. And there was such a kind of lacklustre approach to the idea of putting CCTV into cameras into cars because, you know, drivers weren't in favour and passengers didn't seem to be in favour at the time. But certainly this particular story, this shocking story, has highlighted the fact that something has to be done. People need to feel safe on their way home. Women need to feel safe if they're getting a taxi, to make sure that they get home safely and, you know, without any issues at all. You look at certain boroughs around the UK at the moment, and they've had this issue of CCTV and cameras going on for a couple of years, and you have some that have installed them really successfully. And the kind of feedback on this is that not only do passengers feel safer, but drivers also. I mean, when we had a kind of influx of antisocial behaviour in taxis, you know, it was kind of arising with people either, you know, holding knives to taxi drivers or trying to take money. And you would have seen on occasion drivers themselves would install their own CCTV camera, and it would state that in the cab. And so it's hard to understand how this couldn't be something that works in favour of both the driver and the passenger.
Jack, a story as well in the Times today. Unsurprisingly, RT boss Kevin Backhurst says he is pleased with the recent funding model for RTE announced. Hard, no great shock there really.
Yeah, I'd be pleased too if someone gave me 725 million
to be honest, if I was him.
Yeah, and he's I mean, again, given the fact that the government have just given him such a huge amount of money or promised him such a huge amount of money, it's unsurprising that he's backing their decision to retain the TV licence fee. He's making the argument that without the kind of what he terms the jeopardy or the danger of a conviction arising from non-payment, then you would get even lower rates of compliance. So he's standing foursquare with the cabinet decision that was taking place during the week, which is to do this two separate piles of exchequer funding and one pile of licence fee income. I suppose the wider question is whether this is actually going to substantially reform public service broadcasting in Ireland, whether there is going to be an increase in compliance. He's backing on PUS to improve compliance rates. They've been given an extra €6 million to do so. But it does feel, I suppose, a little bit like the path of least resistance when it comes to a structural reform of public service broadcasting and you know, a perhaps more sustainable approach to how we fund public service broadcasting. It feels like that opportunity may have passed us by.
Yeah, a lot of people surprised that a media charge of some sort wasn't introduced. I know Brian Dobson was speaking on the 6 o'clock show here last night, saying that it did more or less seem like they just bottled it at the last minute when it came to introducing something like that. But in terms of collecting the revenue, I mean, giving on PUS £6 million to do that, to strengthen their databases and their powers of collection, I'm not sure if that will make people more inclined to pay the licence with what has been going on, Siobhan.
I don't think so, Elaine. And actually, the MD of Virgin Media, you know, came out and said that what has happened in relation to RTE and this additional funding and the way, you know, the TV licence indeed works is basically rewarding bad practices. And, you know, there is some sense to that when we think about everything that went on last summer. In Ireland here, we have evasion on TV licences of 15%. If you look at somewhere like the UK, that's just 2%. Germany, 7%. You know, there's not an appetite at the moment among many people to renew a TV licence because of what has gone on, what came out last year in relation to RTE. On post collecting as well is an oddity in the European context. There's only Ireland, Czechia and Poland are the only 3 countries that actually allow their postal service to collect that revenue as well. It's archaic, it's a little bit outdated, it's quite stale. And if you look at the modern way we watch,
media,
exactly, it's mostly streaming, it's the odd bit of telly, it's good morning chat shows like this one, but it has changed.
There is that argument as well, because I know Damien Tiernan, formerly of RTE, was on the Tonight Show last night as well, speaking about this. But there's local media needs to be resourced. When we talk about public service broadcasting, it's not just the likes of the national people you see like ourselves in RTE. Newspapers need to strengthen their newsrooms, and for the sake of strong journalism, it needs to be perhaps more fairly divvied out, do you think, in some way, Jack? Or do you think it's further strengthening RTE's position as dominant and state subsidised now?
I mean, that's certainly the charge, that you're creating a kind of survivor brand, while a lot of the kind of smaller, marginally, viable media enterprises fall by the wayside. And I think
local newspapers shutting left, right, and centre.
I think you're right. I think like the real cause of concern is not necessarily the sustainability of the big brand media. Like the operating model will change for companies like Virgin Media or the Irish Times, but I think, or I certainly hope anyway, that they will be in existence into the future. It's the stories that don't get reported on a local level. It's the beat reporter down at the local authority meeting, or covering the district court. These kind of stories, which are so important to having a well-informed electorate, to having people who understand, or just the option of reading a professionally produced piece of journalism about your locality in an age where there's obviously such a kind of rush of misinformation, disinformation online, which is often not fact-checked, which is often not true in many instances. That check and balance that journalism provides on the public discourse, I think, is more valuable than ever. And it's true that it is just evaporating at a local level. And so I think there does need to be sustainability measures put in place alongside measures to ensure the commercial and ongoing viability of operators like RTE. Yeah,
and finally for today, this is a Dublin-centric story in a way, but I suppose if you're ever coming to the capital, this might annoy you slightly. Plans to restrict traffic in Dublin City to begin next month. The Dublin DCC has confirmed, that's in the Independent, and arguments that it will further impact the actual viability of Dublin city centre as a living, breathing entity, Siobhan.
Well, yeah, I mean, the arguments against this happening came from, as you would expect, the kind of retail sector, saying that if cars are prevented from driving into the city, by 2028 there will be a loss of 144 million in revenue, and up to 1,300 jobs will be cut. Now, the flip side is that when this comes into effect on August 25th, so motorists won't be able to drive along the quays at certain times, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. It favours public transport, cyclists and pedestrians. And a lot of other European cities have this particular model, and it works really, really well.
But they have really good public transport. They have a strong pedestrian system, and there's more encouragement towards cycling as a safe option, which just doesn't exist in Dublin at the moment.
But I mean, you can make the argument that this plan is exactly moving towards all those three things.
Yeah, but shouldn't the infrastructure not be there in the first place to allow that to happen? I mean, the actual nuts and bolts of it in place.
But this is the infrastructure. I mean, the infrastructure is not just physical, the infrastructure. Fair enough, I take the point absolutely about an underground or something like that, but you can't spear it up an underground overnight. So I suppose structure... decisions that, aid infrastructural development aren't always necessarily about the heavy reinforcement works or anything like that. It can be about how the city is used. And while there has been opposition, obviously, to the move from car park owners and retailers, I mean, it's worth pointing out that every single political grouping on Dublin City Council supports this. So there's a democratic legitimacy to it as well, invested by that.
I'm a resident of Dublin City Centre, so I might be slightly biased here, and it's a bit of a mess. So I leave it at that. I will bow to your superior knowledge on this anyway. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us on the show this morning. Now, up next, Paris is preparing for a spectacle at tonight's Olympics opening ceremony. We chat sport after this short break.
Yes, welcome back. Time for a spot of sport, and there's major Olympic stuff going on. Even before the opening ceremony gets started, presenter of the Tackling Sport podcast, Daniel Hussey, joins me with the latest. Good to see you, sir.
Morning.
You decided to wrap your eyes around the TV yesterday because I know the ceremony is happening tonight, but the rugby sevens are already up and running.
Yeah.
And yesterday wasn't a good day for
No, it was a frustrating day, and it's probably what could have been. I thought the Irish team played brilliant. For those that know, we came up against Fiji in the quarterfinals, double Olympic gold medalists since this sport was introduced.
Haven't been beaten.
Full stop, even in the group stages.
At the Olympics.
But the fact we ended up having Fiji was probably we were a bit sloppy in not putting away New Zealand, which meant we would have got an easier draw, albeit South Africa are a quite decent side. So it was disappointing, first of all, but then also the final try itself looked like there was a knock-on, and all us rugby folk are sort of discovering that in the sevens that they can't, TMOs, they can only review something that directly leads to a try versus something that happened maybe 10, 15 seconds before. So very frustrating day, but look, they played very well. Against probably the team that'll go on to win the gold medal.
But they started so well with that victory over South Africa, and then it was that game against New Zealand that led to them having to play Fiji, and it's kind of like everybody wanted to avoid playing Fiji.
Now we'll end up probably getting our best ever finish. I think it's been 10th before in the sevens in the two in editions of it. So maybe it shows that, I know we brought the likes of Hugo Keane and put a lot more money into it, but I guess we're not quite there yet. We need to push a little bit more. Like maybe in 4 years' time, there's an Olympic medal, and maybe that has to start a bit earlier in terms of integrating someone like Hugo Keane, a bit like France have done, obviously, through looking for their medals. But disappointing. It would just have been lovely to sneak we're in a semi-final now before the opening ceremony starts. But look, we still have 5th place to play for, which is the highest we can finish at the moment, which will be our best ever finish.
Yeah, disappointing. We were 15-7 up.
15-7 up, conceded 2 tries. Again, one was, I know it ended up being a knock-on. It was still a sloppy try, if that makes sense, albeit it should have been disallowed. But disappointment. I'd say just a tint of regret because it felt, because that's probably the best team, that we're literally there. And look, another quarter-final defeat in Paris, so it's tough to take.
Yeah, I know.
In the same stadium as well.
Yeah, quarter-finals, I know. Anyway, let's move on, because the opening ceremony for the Olympics is this evening, and it's not in the Olympic Stadium.
No, first time ever. It won't be in a stadium for the Olympics in the River Sound. So, look, this was conceived a few years ago. Obviously, the world in terms of security has been a lot beefed up. I know there's a Russian chef that's been arrested there because of some links to Russia, and there's a lot of. So basically, what I'm saying is security is going to be heightened, and I think the games itself of France just needs to get through the opening ceremony. Hope it all goes safely, because there's going to be every single athlete.
They've been rehearsing this for 2 years.
Yeah, and they also have backup plans if there is any issues to move it to the Stade de France last minute. I don't know how logistically they'll be able to transport everyone. But all the athletes will be going out in boats. Boats take about 45 minutes. It's I think it's going to be a pretty cool spectacle. And like you said, if you're rehearsing something for 2 years, you hope it'll be a spectacle.
You'll get it right on the night.
But it does, like London 2012 was, for me anyway, my favourite ever Olympics, obviously because it's only up the road. But, I knew people there, the fans there. And Rio was really good Olympics time-wise, but maybe there weren't the fans there. And Tokyo obviously was COVID. So we haven't really had a proper Olympics is the wrong word, but I think it'll be the best Olympics since London 2012.
Is Macron jumping out of an airplane?
That's the talk. Well, I heard Celine Dion wasn't meant to be known, but I listened to Virgin Media News. You guys already knew about it, so I thought it was going to come
Celine
here.
Dion and Lady Gaga. Well, but everybody is wondering, Celine Dion, because she's had so much difficulty.
Yeah, last couple of years. Yeah.
So
It should be. French will put on a good show. I hope so.
Okay. Well, we look forward to that, and of course, the French will be the last ones down the river. The Greeks as they should be, will be the first
Yeah,
ones
first,
down.
traditionally.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on. Last night, European football, it was a good night and a bad night. Let's start with the bad. And Shelbourne, they have a meant to climb when they come back to Dublin.
I think they were always, underdogs for this game. I just watching, bits of it that I caught that they set up so defensively, and I guess they had to try and get a result. But it shows that, that's the best team in the league this year, and credit to them. But it just feels the league is a lot more competitive, which is good. But that means in Europe, in some of the big games, like our best team based on the league table probably should be maybe trying to get on the ball a bit more. It was a disappointing night, and Damien Duff said so himself in the interview.
Okay. Well, it was against FC Zurich, who have had pedigree in this competition in recent years. But yeah, setting up defensively to lose a goal after 27 seconds.
It's not how it works. I think Duffer again made reference to it in his interview, saying it's not quite the record for the earliest goal. So there's positive. He's not giving up in the tie, and look. Talca Park, the fans have come out and support him. It's been a brilliant season for Shells, and it was important they won that first game against Gibraltar. And the thing is, when you keep winning these games, you come up against opposition that are ultimately probably better than you. But it does ask a wider question on the league. Like, we're doing so well in terms of crowds coming to games, but I guess facilities have to be upgraded in the league throughout. But it's an Irish football question in general. It's like, where do we want our Irish teams to be doing in Europe in 20 years? Because I remember watching Shelbourne in 2004 in the Champions League, thinking this is brilliant. Let's build on this. And we haven't really got to that level. They were only one game off. A loss to Deportivo La Coruña, who ended up, I think, in the semi-final or a quarter-final of the Champions League that year. So it shows you where we were 20 years ago, and we've, I guess, come backwards a small bit, albeit we're picking it up again. So it's important for the FAI, I guess, to sort of see that we're not quite there yet. Let's start trying to come up with ways that maybe we can start producing more players that are a little bit better than what we're probably doing at the moment.
Listen, Damien and Shell's focus will now be on the league, so fans will probably say,
look, as a neutral, you do hope they do, because they've been there so long.
Yeah.
He's been brilliant for the league. He's brought a new audience to it, but I think he's really made that Shelbourne team and fans believe as well. A lot of good stuff going on around that club as well.
Okay. Well, it was a bad night for Shells. It was a really good night for
Really good night, yeah. Because come 8 o'clock, you're sort of thinking, okay, pressure's on Pats. And Stephen Kenny, he's done a solid job since, but it hasn't really been a standout couple of moments, and this was his night, and I felt it was a sort of coming of age of his team, and it was the goals they scored. Players were saying after, it's not over, it's only half time.
Yeah.
And because you know yourself in European games, conceding an early goal.
They will come back at them.
Exactly. But I just thought it was a great night for Stephen Kenny, and I saw for the first time the football he's trying to instill. With Pats, and reminded me a little bit of his Dundalk sides in Europe as well, which was great to see.
Well, yeah, let's hope they can see it through and advance to the next round, and we'll pray for a Shelbourne miracle by next week.
Get the early goal. You never know.
You just never know. Anyway, good to see you, Daniel.
Yeah, likewise.
Okay. Up next, it's been 1 year since the passing of the late great Sinead O'Connor. We'll be remembering her after this break.
You're very welcome back to Ireland AM. 1 year ago today, we lost a renowned musician who captivated the world with her powerful music and daring actions.
Joining us now to share memories and discuss the career highlights of the late, great Sinead O'Connor are singer and actress Camille O'Sullivan and music consultant and commentator Dee Reddy. Good morning, ladies. You're so welcome. Camille, I'll start with you. You knew Sinead personally. How did you first meet her?
Oh, God. Well, before I first met her, it was when I first came up to Dublin from Cork. I remember the Dice Man was coming slowly down Grafton Street, and suddenly at the top of Grafton Street, just where St. Stephen's Green, this kind of a vision with a long black cloak came around the corner, and I was like, oh my God, she's so stunning. And of course, this was the beginning of her career. And then later on, it was actually quite funny. The first, we had kind of crossed paths. I was very lucky to I felt to be near her. But there was, her lovely brother Joe was doing something in the Abbey for one of his books. And we were all waiting to go on stage. And next minute, Sinead, she was like a little child. And she was very playful and very funny. And she spotted me, and I was like going, kind of in awe of her. And next minute she's running after me, and she was running after me because she had a mole on her chin. So did I, and I was like, this is so crazy. She kind of landed on top of me, and I was like, what is going on? And my friend Ferg was like, don't move, it's Sinead O'Connor, it's fantastic. And then she went on stage, and to this day, I will never, I even feel Like, I can't believe she's still gone. And I can't believe it feels long and it feels short, because when she went on, I think she had her hair then, lovely little, I mean, she was so stunning, but she was all like a little child, went on and just delivered and just was real. And I remember I was sitting with some of the tech crew and I thought, oh God, never forget, just be authentic and be real. And she was on fire. And then later on through the years, just Glastonbury, or like when we did gigs, constant kind of crossing paths, and there was a connection through another friend too. So she was just a really authentic person. So it was amazing. I was a big fan. So when I think back, it's sometimes, in the losing of somebody like Sinead and Shane, the clarity comes that you realise how much of a voice she was for Irish people, but also for girls. And I talked to some of my girlfriends and they were all like, oh my God, the first gigs in the Olympia. And so just, throughout all the years, and she was always just really down to earth. What was really funny is you'd meet some of the up-and-comings and sure, they wouldn't maybe chat, but she always chatted and she was always up to something. Yeah. So she had a great sense of humour. Yeah. Really lovely.
A very ethereal quality to her, of course, but tempered with a core of steel, very strong on social justice. And that was very much portrayed through her music as well. From the very early days, like, where did she get her start from in music?
So, funnily enough, it was a nun, Sister Margaret in Greenon, which was a kind of a school that she'd been sent to. She'd gotten in a lot of trouble. She was shoplifting, doing a lot of the normal sort of teenage stuff as well, and had obviously a pretty difficult relationship with her mum and situation at home. So she got sent to this school, Greenon, and there was a lovely nun there, Sister Margaret, who saw in Sinead this ability, this talent, and how she kind of came alive when she was playing music or listening to music. So Sister Margaret took her, bought her first guitar and a Bob Dylan songbook, and then set her up with a guitar teacher. And it was, I think, at that guitar teacher's wedding that she first came to the notice of Paul Byrne, who was in on Tuanua. And she recorded some stuff with them, but I think they felt she was a bit too young at that stage. And then later on, she put an ad in Hot Press to set up her own band. And she did that, and then eventually she got signed as a solo artist. And in 1997 then came straight out of the gates with her first album, which was just unbelievable, and really kind of catapulted her onto the international music scene, not just the Irish music scene as well.
Let's talk about the impact that Sinead had on Irish culture. She had so many of these core moments that will just stick with everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the impact that she had on Irish culture was this, and you guys have already alluded to it, but this ability to sort of use her music to make the political stances or the social injustices, as you say, to call them out in a way that I think is going to be a real part of her lasting legacy. I think she kind of had her own music was quite. She had the ability to be kind of vulnerable and strident
really
at the same time, and that kind
That's
of
what you really
totally
hear, like listening to all her records, the fragility and
that's it, and even her voice,
time,
totally,
I think,
even her voice, like not just the words that she's singing, but her voice is really, really powerful at times, and yet so gentle and soft at other times. So, like, the impact she had on Irish culture, though, I think, and again, Camille, you've said this already, was what she did for Irish women, I think, was quite extraordinary.
And I know a lot of people say that Sinead had balls. Do you know what I don't like that phrase? Because she had ovaries, very strong ovaries, because she was such a trailblazer for women ahead of her time. And we can talk about the iconic moments like the SNL scene when she ripped the Pope's photograph, but
we didn't know about that was the only, you know, she had a fractitious, it was the only picture she had in her house, that her in her mum's house was that picture. And so looking back, you go, like, I felt so bad when she passed, because I was like, God, the poor little thing, because, you know, the thing of, like, she was so open with her about her mental health, which helped so many people, but in doing so it cost her. all the things she ever said, like, God, she was so ahead of her. Like, the way, do you remember on the Late Late, Gabriel was almost paternal to her, but she shared so much. Now, if she said half the things she said now, people go, whatever. But because she said it 25, 30 years ago, and she stuck her neck out.
Totally
and I love the thing, too, with the record company go, you got to look sexy this. And she went, right, shaving my head, putting my docs on. And I thought, oh my God, thank you so much. But, as you say, she was all female. And when you look back at her records, I felt so bad I hadn't listened to all those amazing songs because it's like an autobiography. And she's fighting the cause for still, like, all her story, like that fragileness, but also the strength for women. And I was like, my little one, like, I was like, I like Taylor now, but she's a billionaire, so stop buying the calendars. I said, could you listen to Sinead? So I spent for a whole week, I just said, and we just went through it.
Amazing.
Do you know what I mean?
Amazing
because
education.
I think girls need to hear it,
People don't get to listen to people like Sinead anymore because they're not in existence. They're not being nurtured. They're being cut off by record.
They should listen to them. They should read the Miley Cyrus thing. Like, when I had my little one and I was coming out going about Miley Cyrus on a wrecking ball going, oh my God, I'm going to be holding my child's hand in discos till she's like 25 in dungarees. Like, but Sinead wrote the most incredible letter, like really brilliant, about don't think you're being used by the record company. And I thought, I was like, I still see that letter and go, she taught so many of us. Like, along the road, I'd still listen to everything she had to say, And unfortunately, I think with women, sometimes when you are so vocal, and she was so beautiful, like, in one way, her star quality is a difficult thing because when you're that stunning, and then as you're getting older, people are kind of like, oh, well, she had to fight it even harder, but she didn't give up the fight. Like, I think in many ways...
Even shaving her head, though, was part of that fight. Yeah. That she refused to, I suppose, buy into this sort of ultra-feminine, over-sexualised aesthetic.
Yes, which was brilliant for us.
Yeah, I mean...
There was loads of us down in Cork, and there was a few of them who did it. Like, the parents were like, keep your hair off.
I think for her first album, she wanted a different picture on it. Yeah. And the record label insisted on... having one that made her look more demure or more gentle.
Yeah. Because she never did, as you say, like, as a performer, it never was about sexuality. It was just that incredible voice. Yes. And of course, when you see the video of her eyes and to watch her on stage, I mean, you wouldn't care what she looked like. She had a force of nature to her. And I think you wondered, how do people, like, will you ever see the like of that again? Is it of a time? Because, Madonna was around the same time, and Cyndi Lauper and those kind of artists. But Sinead, there was no one...
There's no one quite
like her. And Patti Smith would have been maybe the only one. Yes. But for us in Ireland, and so real. I mean, to get it so real. Yes. Like, and maybe because she had all that hurt, that she had to sing, like, it was like she sang for her life when you saw her,
And sometimes she really did. Thank you both so much for joining us on the show this morning. Of course, a lasting legacy. Yeah. Loads more to come on Ireland AM. We'll take a short break now. See you back here in just a few minutes. Bonjour tout le monde, bienvenue à Ireland AM. Happy Friday also. It's coming up on 8 o'clock on the 26th of July.
Very good at our Irish.
Aren't I?
Very, very good.
Ma an Buchel, ma.
Yeah. Still to come this morning, our consumer expert Siobhan Maguire has stuck around to answer any of your consumer questions. That's in just a few minutes. If you have any questions for her, text them to us at WhatsApp on 0896 111 111.
Plus, who is the voice behind the dart? We meet the man behind the iconic train announcements from Please Mind the Gap to Seats Are Not for Feet. That's after 9.
And we'll be practicing our warriors and cobra poses with some kids yoga later on. And don't worry, we're going to leave it to the 10-year-old pros to teach us a thing or two.
No downward-facing dog for us. Not at all. Now over to Shiva is in the kitchen with some deliciousness. What is it?
Yes, all aboard the SS Ireland AM. Weathered sailor Simon O'Connell has brought his fresh catch of the day for us. What are we having, Simon?
Need to try and get this right, so we're going to do a summery sea bream ceviche.
Delicious ceviche, so fruity.
Fruity lime, lots of colour, lots of flavour, spicy, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, really good.
Delicious. Summery as well. Yeah. Now, Eric Roberts is about to jump for joy this morning as we have finally reached Friday. How's it going, Eric?
Chief, I'm absolutely wrecked here. I'm standing between mother and daughter duo, Anna and Ali. I've been put through my paces already. We're at Jump Club Dublin here in Castleknock. I'm wearing the strangest pair of Crocs I've ever worn before in my life. It's like a mix between a pair of snow boots, with some springs on them. But we're having an absolute blast. We're going to be doing a little class later on with the guys. Should I be scared?
No, of course not.
Are we going to have some fun?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, hopefully I come back in one piece. I'm going to get Martin a pair of these boots. They're fantastic. Back to you in the studio.
He's going to be banned, Jack. He's been bouncing since 7 o'clock.
He hasn't stopped in an hour.
I think they'd be lovely in you, Martin.
I reckon.
I
I just need a good pair of flares to cover them, so that people think I'm actually that tall.
Now we'll have another check on your morning paper, starting with the Irish Times. It leads with Garda chief seeks better consultation on opening IPA centres. It writes that Garda Commissioner Drew Harris has called for a change in the way sites for new accommodation centres for international protection applicants are selected and then opened with a view of minimising violent opposition to them.
Front page of the Irish Independent opens with RTE stars resisted giving details of personal nixers. In an interview with the paper, RTE Director General Kevin Backhurst said a number of individuals did not want to provide information on their personal assets or out-of-hours work on the company's recent transparency register.
Over to the Irish Examiner, which goes with hostile states threaten to Ireland grows. It writes that Ireland's position as a global tech centre and geographic hub for data centres and internet cables is increasingly making it a target for espionage from hostile states. That's according to a government security report.
On to the tabloids now. The Irish Daily Mail reads, a proper sentence for a vile predator. They write that taxi driver Raymond Shorten has been handed a 30-year consecutive sentence in a judgment that sends a message of zero tolerance to perpetrators.
The Irish Daily Star also covers the Raymond Shorten case with how many more taxi rapes as Gardaí plead with any other victims to come forward.
Over to the Irish Daily Mirror, it also follows the Raymond Shorten case with taxi rapist was sure he'd go free. As the paper writes, that Shorten believed he would be out to watch the Euros before his recent sentencing.
The Herald's headline reads, Fat Puss Bro banned from protest site. The paper writes that the brother of veteran criminals Wayne and Alan Fat Puss Bradley is one of 4 men ordered not to trespass at the Coolock site at the centre of anti-immigration protests.
And finally, the Irish Sun writes Keano's scary movie. The paper writes that football legend Roy Keane has been tipped to land a Hollywood role after his top-class acting yesterday in a new Sky ad.
Yeah, we've plenty of texts. A lot of people texting in over the Raymond Shorten case. Mandy says, I can't believe it took this for us to finally start caring about taxi safety. CCTVs in taxis should be a necessity.
Yeah, Irene has a text in as well. My daughter is in her 20s and late 20s actually and feels safer walking than actually in a taxi. And that was before all of these crimes hitting the news. How can we accept living in a world where women feel safer walking the streets than paying for a supposedly vetted service? Yeah, you're told to get a taxi because it's not safe to walk home or it's not safe to get public transport home late at night. But if you're not safe in a taxi, I mean, you're not safe anywhere. No.
Amy says, I'm in the later years of my life and I'm still scared to use a taxi. Honestly, the apps were the best thing that happened to them because at least you know who was picking you up. I don't know any woman who'd grab one off the street now.
Yeah, that is true.
And then Kim texts in, I once had to pretend to be on a phone call with my boyfriend for an entire taxi ride just so the driver would leave me alone. And I think people are coming up with all these different tactics that they have to use to ensure they're safe in a taxi.
That shouldn't be the case.
No.
But it's the vast majority of taxi drivers are just normal people going about their business. But like in every element of society, there's always one tiny little element that all the bad headlines are about, and that sickens, I suppose, all good, honest taxi drivers out
Sharon
there.
says, my daughter and her friends always share the profile of their taxi driver just in case the worst happens and tell each other if they get home safe. It's outrageous that we feel so vulnerable in taxis. How can this be considered the normal thing to do? I know people who have put people into taxis and said to the driver, from here to where she lives is only 20 minutes. If I don't hear from her in 20 minutes, there could be trouble.
Wow. Yeah, that's something that a lot of people do. And Teresa says, years and years ago, my ma told me to make sure I always sit directly behind the taxi driver when I get in, because it's the hardest place for them to grab you. For any so-called men who think we're making a big deal out of nothing, you have absolutely no idea. Anyway, keep them coming, your texts into us. The number is 0896 111 111.
Now, don't go anywhere. We're answering your consumer questions after this break. We'll see you in just a few minutes. back. Whether you're shopping online, looking for a refund or looking to book a plane ticket, there's always a hurdle to get through.
Consumer journalist Siobhan Maguire has stuck around to answer some of your consumer questions. You're very welcome back, Siobhan. Thank you for joining us once again this morning.
Thank you.
There's some big news on the shopping front in relation to TikTok today. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, you know the way we have online shops on Instagram. I mean, you know, you're scrolling through your feed and every second one now is trying to sell you something. So it looks like the same thing is going to happen on TikTok from later this year. There were kind of rumblings earlier this week that they have hired staff, 40 staff in Spain to cater for businesses selling to TikTok to Irish users, both in Ireland and Spain. So that kind of, if it comes into effect in October like it's being mooted, I mean, it's just in time for Christmas. And we know that Instagram is already like such a viable source of selling for genuine and scammers, genuine salespeople and scammers. So it will be interesting to see how this unfolds, for sure.
What are your rights in relation to buying through social media websites? Are they the same as your average online shop? Because I know you mentioned scams there and they are coming thick and fast at us. Yeah,
there was, the last time I was on the show talking about online shopping was in May, and we discussed this massive research undertaken by The Guardian, Desight and Le Monde, and they had basically found 80,000 kind of scam websites across social media that had duped, you know, so many people. Around 5,000 people in Ireland were affected. And it's so, I mean, we as consumers seem ripe for the picking when we're scrolling through social media and you click on something and you believe it's a genuine site, and sometimes they're not, you know? So your online rights in terms of social media are exactly the same as buying from an online shop. They're really, really strong. You know, you have your cooling off period, you have the right to transparency, to know who you're buying from, what the taxes are involved. Unfortunately, when you click on some of these shops on social media platforms, they're not who they're saying they are. I mean, the bottom line is, if it sounds too good to be true, it actually is. And it's as simple as that to remember.
Okay, simple as that. This week we've got some good news in that, you know, Aer Lingus planes will actually take to the skies and most likely on time.
Yes.
Because an awful lot of people over the last while have been petrified that they wouldn't get off on their well-earned holiday, so would have cancelled flights and booked with another airline. Now that all this has been sorted, can they ask for a refund?
Unfortunately, if you cancel the flights, that's what you've done, you're not entitled to your refund. Now, you know, you can be persistent and you can argue as much as you like if you want to get embroiled in a very long series of back and forth with an airline to try and get your money back. But, I mean, the ideal thing is to never cancel in these situations because if the flight isn't taking off, then Aer Lingus, in relation to the strikes, they had to reroute you or refund you, and that was it. You know, those are your rights. So my advice is, when, you know, because it won't be the first and last airline strike we'll be dealing with, you know. I mean, in France they're 10 a penny all summer, all year round, really. So the ideal thing is not to panic and don't cancel the flight and just see how it pans out for you.
Does travel insurance give you any wriggle room with that or no?
Yeah, travel insurance is a tricky one because unless you actually, and this is what you should do when you're getting travel insurance, Elaine, sorry, this is quite a long-winded way of answering your question.
It's the time of year we need to know about travel insurance, so off you go, Siobhan, off you go. Tell us all.
I find it's so easy to buy travel insurance and renew it online, almost too easy, and you're 10% off. You don't get to ask the questions you probably need to. My advice is get on to the company you're going to buy the travel insurance from and ask them the question, if an airline strikes, you know, because these kind of unprecedented things happen, as we saw with Aer Lingus, will I be covered by travel insurance? Because I've had so many people come to me in light of Aer Lingus and say, my travel insurance isn't covering this now. Because for the vast majority, it actually won't. So when it comes to renewing the travel insurance, you know, and whatever about how easy it is to do it online, speak to a person and make sure you you have it in black and white in your terms and conditions that it will cover your strike. A lot won't, some do.
Okay, but don't leave the country unless you've got some kind of insurance.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think from the pandemic, we all learned that travel insurance is a key thing, you know. It's handy to have. It's that kind of peace of mind, that and the European insurance card, you know, which is free. And again, another thing that's susceptible to scammers, you know, you have various websites saying, well, pay us and we'll get it. It's free. It's always handy to have your travel insurance. I definitely would always renew it.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, get year-long travel insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
And take out the family option because it will cover the whole lot of you.
Yeah, and it will tend to roll over as well, unless you kind of intervene and again, reach out to the company. Because if there's been any particular changes in your circumstances, or somebody has an injury, or somebody has a long-term disability, you need to get on to your insurance and make them clear that you need to be covered for X amount. And if they can't do it, go elsewhere.
I'm looking as well at .ie domains now, going back to the online shopping, because a lot of people historically have been contacting us about that. If you would think that if you see a website and the domain name is something, .ie, that it's an Irish website.
Yes, 100%.
Is it?
No.
Okie dokie. Lovely.
And we had this in the aftermath of Brexit. It became this massive issue because you had an awful lot of UK traders who weren't in the European Union anymore, still trying to sell to Irish people as if they were, you know, because they became a third country. So it was the same thing as buying from China or the USA. A .ie domain can be bought by anyone, anywhere in the world, and they can pretend that they are selling to you. I mean, I've come across sites in Thailand, in China, with a .ie, and it kind of lures in the consumer into thinking, well, if I'm buying from a .ie, then surely, you know, it's very easy when it comes to my rights. It's very easy when it comes to how much I'm spending on tax, etc.
Customs charges.
Exactly.
See, I got stung with one of those .ie ones, let me tell you, and had a fine hefty customs bill after it.
Yeah, so this was with Brexit as well. You know, if you went over €22 on a purchase, you suddenly had VAT on your purchase. If you went over 150, you had customs duties in addition to VAT. And so many people got stung, you know. .ie, this is a very boring thing to do, but please go into the terms and conditions. And that will state where the address of the seller actually is. And that way you're going to determine whether they are actually in Ireland. Now, if they're in the European Union, then the European laws still apply. So your rights, you know, would be the same as if buying in Ireland.
Okay. How do you report a website?
Oh, very loudly. Yeah, so the first thing to do is get onto the Gardaí, alert your bank immediately as well, because if you can flag that there has been, that you have basically passed on your details to a scammer, they can very quickly intervene, you know, and they can, in a lot of circumstances, might even recommend that you change your card. But there's lots of different organisations between, like, Fraud Smart, the Gardaí, you know, get onto your banks. You can get a charge back as well if you've been scammed. And social media, we have become so good at saying, you know, because in the past we were quite embarrassed to say, oh God, I've been scammed, but it's happening to so many people. Put your hand up and say, this has happened, this is how it happened, and warn other people.
Yeah, it's easier said than done. Like my image, I'd be using fake articles over the years, 3 times between cryptocurrency and fat-busting pills. And I tried to report them, and no sooner did I report one website than another one popped up. I mean, it's relentless.
Yeah, it really is. And I've seen that. And this kind of social profiling and copying faces of, you know, of well-known people is 10 a penny at the moment. I mean, you know, we even had Micheál Martin in the Dáil talking about how he was being targeted by, you know, Russian and paid for ads. I mean, it's about being vigilant. It's about not disclosing as much information as we want to on social media. It's about not falling for the dud deal and thinking before you click. You know, make sure there's a verified tick beside a shop.
And as you said, if it looks too good to be true,
it is.
100%.
There's not a hope in hell I lost £70 in 2 months in any world ever.
She's lost £70 in about 20 minutes at a bar, all right, but never...
That's about it, Pounds, no.
Yeah.
Euro.
Well, sorry, I was dealing with old money.
Shillings and pence.
All money.
When I was young. Anyway, I'll say no more of that. Listen, thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. And thank you for that, Martin. Anyway, up next, we're making something fishy in the kitchen. Stay tuned for this delight after this short break.
Welcome back. The headlines. The eyes of the world will be on Paris tonight for the Olympics opening ceremony. The gala is being billed as the most elaborate spectacle set along the River Seine. The 3-hour ceremony will kickstart the Games with 133 Irish competitors due to take part. In the US, Kamala Harris has told the Israeli Prime Minister she will not be silent over the suffering in Gaza. The US Vice President met with Benjamin Netanyahu during his visit to Washington, 4 days into her presidential campaign. It's been seen as her first foreign policy test, in which she appeared to take a tougher tone on the war in the Middle East than President Joe Biden. And the Garda Commissioner has said there are lessons to be learned over the unrest at protests in Coolock in Dublin. Speaking after a policing authority meeting yesterday, Commissioner Drew Harris indicated there's a need for more consultation between officials. He said it's not inevitable that there's violence at demonstrations like the one outside the old Crown Paints factory, which has been earmarked for asylum seeker accommodation. And now time for another look at today's weather forecast.
You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media One.
This morning will bring a day of sunny spells and scattered passing showers with light to moderate winds coming from the east. The temperature will be a consistent 14 degrees across the country. This afternoon we'll see heavy showers spread across Ulster and Leinster, while the rest of the country will remain largely dry. Temperatures range from 16 to 18 degrees. And this evening we'll see the rain migrate to the west, where people will be met with light rain, drizzle and an increased chance of brisk winds closer to the coast. Temperatures ranging from 12 to 14 degrees.
You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media One.
Now, we're partial to a bit of fish for breakfast here on Ireland AM, but only the best. We're not dealing with muck here.
No. And here with his fresh catch of the day is Simon O'Connor from Peerhouse. Morning, Simon.
Morning, guys.
How are
Good
you?
to see you. I'm great, thanks.
OK, this is a little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit
People might
different.
be a little bit
There's no
surprised.
pans or ovens involved in here, so it's
But
really
it's
easy.
still getting cooked.
Still getting cooked. I've been reliably informed that it's summer out there, so I said I'll do something bright and tasty like that. So what we're doing is a kind of a South American dish, and it's called ceviche. So it's basically fish, raw fish, that we cook in lime and salt and stuff like that. So it's pretty simple. There's not much to it. It's just about adding the ingredients into your food. So what we've got here, we've got some lovely sea bream, and it's been skinned and we've taken the bones out of it, and I've just chopped it up. So you can see it's chopped into little pieces here like that.
Cool.
So, and is sea bream the only fish you'd use in a dish like this?
You could use, there's lots of different things you could use. Any white fish, you could use tuna, you could even use salmon, stuff like that, you know. So anything like that. It's just, we have sea bream because the weather's a little bit warmer. It's starting to come up into this neck of the woods now, so we'll use that and give it a go. And it's line cod as well, so it's really good stuff. So the first thing we're going to do, we need to cook it. So we're going to add some sea salt, so a good pinch of sea salt. And we're going to add some lime into it here as well. I put a little bit of lime in already just to get it started, but we're going to get another little bit. So the acid in the lime and the sea salt actually start to cook the fish. So it starts to break it down and it draws out all the moisture, and you get it really cooking really quickly. We're also going to add in a little bit of orange.
OK,
and
all the
again,
citrus.
All the citrus. So just to give it that kind of different flavour. So it's not just sour, you got the kind of sweet from the orange as well. And we're going to give it a mix.
You'll actually see it cooking.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see the colour of the fish. So when it's not cooked, it's that colour.
Yeah.
And it's starting to cook already. And see the way it's turning white?
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
that's magic.
It's crazy, yeah. So it's like when you cook a piece of fish, it's going to turn white, you know. So we're going to add in a few other little bits just to make it taste a little bit more interesting. So we got a little bit of olive oil, just a small drop. Then we're going to put some soy sauce in, just for that kind of umami sort of flavour, you know, the kind of salty and sweet.
Do you use dark soy sauce or
That's light soy sauce, so it's just for the flavour rather than the colour, you know. And then we've got another few bits. So everything I've kind of cut up the same size, but just cut it the way you can, you know. You don't really have to go too far into it. So we got some chilli.
You know, yours are cut very uniform.
They are, yeah. It took a bit of time doing that. Yeah. I was up all night.
You need good knife skills.
And then I've taken the seeds out of that, and we've got some red onion just because it's a little bit sweeter. And we don't want it too hot. That's why I've taken the seeds out of it. It's just, this is kind of a mellow taste, you know. And then we got some mango, so just some lovely fruit just to kind of brighten it up.
Delicious.
And give it a bit of colour. or you could use anything else, like pineapple. I suggested.
I suggested this.
Yeah.
He's going to name a dish after me
We're
now.
going to stick it on the menu,
in a
yeah.
restaurant.
Oh, wow.
Shiva's pineapple special.
You could use lots of fruit. So you could use pineapple, you could use orange, people use, you could even use apple, anything like that, just to give it that little bit of sweet. We're going to throw in a bit of coriander here as well.
Delicious.
So you got all the colours, like the red and the green and the yellow, all that kind of
It's
stuff.
such
Like a flag.
It does.
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly, yeah.
It's such a summery dish.
It's basically like a salsa, but we're just adding fish into it. And if you're a vegetarian like yourself, you can put something like avocado into it, dice it up and put it in too.
Perfect.
You know?
Oh,
so
delicious.
what we're going to have with it, or what we're going to serve it on, is we're going to have little kind of corn tortilla tacos nearly to put it on. So I've just got a normal tortilla here.
Yeah.
And the difference is this is a corn one rather than the flour one that you'd normally get, like if you were getting a wrap for your lunch or something like that.
Okay.
It's equally as easy to get, but it's just the colour is nice and the texture is pretty good.
Okay, that's
So
the only difference, really.
that's really it. They're made out of corn as opposed to flour. Now, there is flour in them as well, but it's mainly corn. So we're going to put that here. And then what we're going to do, we're just going to pop these in the oven. We're going to put a little bit of oil on them.
Oh, to crisp them up.
Just to crisp them up. So they go brown, and then we're going to season them up. So they're going to be basically kind of like tortilla chips, basically, but they'll just be a little bit... They're not like a bag of tortilla chips. You know, you've done it yourself, and it's a little bit nicer, so put that there.
Okay.
It's going to go into the oven. So I've got the oven on about 225. We've got the grill and the oven, and it only takes literally 2 minutes for that to happen. But just keep an eye on it because it can cook pretty quickly, do you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So that'll cook away.
So you're making your own crisps, basically.
Our own crisps, and this is perfect for a starter or kind of like little snacks to have around if you're going to have a few beers and people sitting outside during the summer. You know, it's really nice. Kind of that's the way they would have it. So this is starting to cook.
Need a summer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you can see that's starting to cook. It's all gone white now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to cook the fish, or how to cut it. So I asked the fishmonger just to give me some sea bream fillets and take the skin off and take the bones out as well. So all you're left with is a plain piece of meat, simple as that. So you just cut it like any way you want. So I would just do small slices like that. And you have it like this here. And then you just cut it into cubes. Like that.
And has this been deboned already?
So they took the pin bones out, they took all the fins off, and they took all the skin off. So you're just left with the flesh.
Yeah.
So it's like a piece of steak, really.
Yeah.
You know, there's not much to do with it.
Okay,
You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, they do all the hard work.
That's it. Yeah. So you've nothing to worry about. Like the thing about this is, it's all. I know this looks complicated because everything is there, organised and prepped. But if you spend 10 minutes in your kitchen before you make your food, just prepping and getting organised, it'll mean you cook a lot quicker, you'll be a lot more organised, and it's much easier to clean up. So it makes the whole process work a lot quicker than you know, if you're kind of grabbing bits from the fridge and grabbing bits from all over the place. So, I mean, it's much easier just to spend that couple of minutes just getting organised.
How long could you keep this in the fridge for?
This, I mean, you keep it in for a day, really. You wouldn't want to eat it too much longer after that. So this, it only takes a couple of minutes. If you were to have this anywhere else in the world, in kind of South America, they only put it in here for a couple of minutes and it's cooked. Like it's already ready to go. Yeah. But you could put it in for an hour or 2 hours. I wouldn't kind of leave it much longer than kind of eight hours or so, because what happens is the flesh starts to get a little bit chalky and you lose the texture, and you're really just getting the lime and the lemon then, you know. So you want to keep that fish flavour as well.
Well, I don't think there'd be much left of it.
I was going to say, bold me too soon there'd be any left.
Not around these parts.
Yeah.
So you can see there and there, and see the way they're puffing up like that. They're starting to get all puffed up. So they're nearly ready. And what they're going to look like when we're finished is these. So they're basically crisp. So they've turned into literally a tortilla chip. So we'll take them out now.
We'll have people at home just taking wraps out of their presses and going, I'm making my own.
Yeah, but I mean, why not? Because you know,
nachos.
exactly with your dip, you know, just put your cheese on top of them. It's exactly the same thing. So here we go, we have them done. And just to cut it, I just used the plain normal cookie cutter kind of thing like that you get from a bacon shop. So they're already crispy.
Even
and they're nice and warm.
Cutter that you might
exactly,
have.
yeah. So what we're going to do, just to give them an extra bit of flavour, we're going to pop them in here while they're still warm. They get a little bit firmer now once they start to cool down. And we're going to put in some sea salt.
All right.
And that will stick to them with the oil on it. And we're going to put a little bit of paprika. Just going to toss them around.
We're pimping them up a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just give that extra little bit of flavour. And you can hear that they're crispy already.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
So that's kind of.
You'd eat them now.
Yeah, exactly.
Even without the cerveza.
Yeah, I know what I'm tasting.
I knew I'd do that.
Perfect. Perfect. So we're going to serve 3. So 3 is perfect for one person. And what we do is we pop them on the plate like that.
No, although I might have to try one of the crisps.
Yeah. And then what we're going to do is, so this is done, like it's completely white, completely cooked, and we're just going to pile it up on top of each one.
I am so impressed with that cooking technique. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
It cooking in lime and salt.
But it's like it saves, it's so much you know, it's so easy, and it saves the hassle of worrying about pans and pots, and
Yes.
you still have a bit of fish at the end of the day, and it's cooked, you know, and it takes you a few minutes. I mean, this is only taken 5 or 6 minutes to do, and we're ready to go.
Oh, that looks beautiful, Simon.
That's absolutely amazing. Yeah, and for an island nation, we don't eat enough fish.
100%.
Yeah, we're spoiled for choice, I know.
And it just gets sent abroad, and we just don't take advantage of it.
That's it.
So to finish it up, I've just got some lovely bits of dill. This is really for decoration, but the aniseed goes really well with the fish. It's lovely. And then last of all, we've got a mix of black and white sesame seeds. They'll just add a little bit of crunch.
Yeah, no, that makes it look really professional
And
now.
just
If you're
gives you that-
sprinkling on
yeah,
sesame seeds, you know what you're doing. Right,
Well, I mean,
give Martin a little taste
Anybody
there.
can do that, and it looks so good for people to go. So there
And
you
then
go.
can I try one of the
here.
crisps,
You
Simon?
can, yeah.
All
The
right.
ones you made earlier.
There's no...
How's that? Thank you.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of different flavours in there, isn't there?
A complete burst of flavour.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Summertime in your mouth.
Simon, thank you so much.
No problem.
Delicious.
Yeah,
I know.
happy with
This is so nice. Yeah, I'm delighted. Full recipe details are on our website, or for more from Simon, you can pop down to Pier House in Howth and tell him we sent you.
And get this. Coming up, Eric's got a bit of a spring in his step, shall we say. Find out why after the break. Welcome back. Our roving reporter, Eric Roberts, has been immersing himself all morning with a fun alternative exercise craze.
He's literally been bouncing off the walls.
He has indeed. How's it going, Eric?
I'm having a quick break here to talk to Anna and Ali. We're coming to you live from Castleknock here in Dublin at Jump Club Dublin. And I tell you, my knees, my legs, everything, I'm sweating. It's been the biggest workout I've ever had, guys. For everyone that doesn't know, can you tell me a bit about what it is you're doing here?
Kangaroo Jumps, it's effective, innovative cardio workout system, which was developed by doctor for orthopedic patients with the injuries of the knee, hips, and back problems. It's taking impact, 80% of impact taking away, and it's amazing workout for your muscle.
So, as someone that wakes up clicking every morning and my back's broke and I have to do a stretch before I can make my morning coffee, is this safe for your knees and your joints?
Absolutely. It's 100% safe and you don't have to worry about it. And a good example would be my own mother. She started her journey 8 years ago, but unfortunately she got a knee injury and she thought she'd never get back into fitness. But when she was introduced to Kangaroo Jumps, she realized that she can still be fit and keeping up well. And I know plenty of instructors who had a kneecap replacement and became Kangaroo Jumps instructors.
So you were out of action, you couldn't exercise, and you discovered this and you fell in love with it.
Oh, yeah, that was terrible time in my life because all my life I was active. I was doing sport activities and suddenly, boom, you can't do it because you're at the weight, you're afraid to hurt again. So, and when I found the rebound shoes, it was just boom, I can do it again, I can do it, yeah.
Well, I tell you, I'm growing quite attached to these as well. I went out and got a coffee there earlier on. I was walking across the street like this. It was fantastic. This isn't the only class that you teach here, though, as well. You have the trampolines as well, isn't that right?
Yeah, trampolines, Kangaroo Jumps, and both of them benefit you very well. It's a full body workout, and that's the best part about it because all of your muscles are engaging. So that's including your cardiovascular system, lymphatic system, even your facial structure, inner muscles, everything. And the best thing about it is that you get fast results. So you can burn up to 800 to 1,000 calories per workout, and one workout equals to 3 workouts. So I feel like that's an amazing.
And I feel like as well, I mean, the community that you have here, the energy is unbelievable. I was watching you on the trampoline earlier on. Is there a big difference between the trampoline classes and, say, the Kangaroo Jump classes?
So trampoline classes, which jump to the beat, was created by Veronica 7 years ago in Ireland. So it's also low impact classes. It's full body workout. It's a bit better for the people who are starting because they have a support, so they feel more confident, and it's a lot of fun as well.
And I have to ask, obviously, this is my first day, even though I've been so impressive all morning that I know you have told me that off camera. Is it safe for beginners like myself?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You don't have to worry about it because the instructors are there to navigate you, and they pay attention to how you're bouncing, how you're moving, your coordination, everything. So like that's the least of your worries, at least. The most thing that you need to do is enjoy it. That's what you need to do.
Well, I have to say, I've been enjoying myself myself all morning. Is there, say, beginners classes and more advanced classes when you come to these things?
When the people coming first time, of course, a professional instructor will lead the crowd. The instructor will feel what people need, so we try to keep simple but intense.
Let's say, how long would you need to be doing these classes before you saw the benefits taking place?
So the workout lasts around 60 minutes, and you start off with a nice simple warm-up. You can do a bit of choreography, and then you can move onto the floor and do some boot camp. So working on your abdominals, biceps, triceps, deltoids, everything that's on the upper body. And in order to see results, you can go from 3 to 4 weeks maybe. If you come in regularly to classes, you'll see very good fast results.
Okay, so have you any tips now for beginners that are looking to come and try this out?
Yes, of course. For my experience, I'll say don't judge yourself. So feel comfortable, feel free, because everyone is in different stage. So you're just starting, someone doing 4 years these classes. So it's all about fun. It's all about relax and release your stress here in the class.
Amazing. Well, I have to ask now, where can people find out more information if they are looking to sign up?
Our club located in Dublin 15, but we have instructors all over the island. So it's Dublin 18, it's County Kildare, it's Galway, it's Killarney, Tralee, and Cork is coming.
I mean, are you coming to Donegal? Because I want to keep this party going, guys. Well, I've been dreading this, but we're about to actually do a class. So you're going to put me through my paces now, girls?
No worries.
Let's jump into this. Right, come on. Give me my instructions.
So we'll start off very simple.
Okay.
For the basic steps, just to start off simple movements. You run on the spot.
Jog.
Light jog, running on the spot. Okay. Now I would like you to lift your right leg in 3, 2, 1. Lift it up and bounce.
All right. Now
bounce.
we're
yes,
grooving.
Perfect, perfect. You're doing great for your first time, Eric.
I'm shaking a bit more than everyone else, but that's okay.
Okay, now switch in 3, 2, 1, and left leg. Yeah, perfect. Just like that.
There.
Okay. Now we're gonna do jumping jacks. So moving side to side. Now 5, 6, 7, and go. Jack. Jack.
Getting the hang of this,
Jack.
guys.
Oh, yeah.
Really
super.
feeling the burn here.
Yeah.
Come on,
perfect.
guys. Woo!
Okay. Now side to side.
Okay.
Side to side. Side.
And this burning sensation that I'm feeling throughout my body, is that normal?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, you're doing cardio right now. You do realize that?
I feel every bit of it.
Yeah, perfect. And now try a double in.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, double.
Double? Okay, doubles. Okay.
Double.
We got it. We got it. We got it.
Super.
All right, right. I'm going to take over the class now for a bit, girls. I want you to follow my lead, okay?
Yeah,
Are we ready?
follow.
And step, 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 step. Arms. Now we're grooving, guys. Now we're grooving. We're going to keep this party going here, guys. We're going to go back to you in the studio. I'm absolutely wrecked. We'll see you again soon. Let's keep it going, ladies.
Wow.
Woo!
That looks absolutely exhausting.
It does, doesn't it?
Can you imagine the calories you'd burn, though? Those rebounders
kicks.
are brilliant.
A few of these.
Would you
hamstrings?
He's now got an official spring in his step. They won't be able to get the boots back off Eric.
I want those boots.
I want those leggings. They're gorgeous. Oh my God, that's all I was looking at. Sorry.
Eric, if you're listening, go and rob us a few
Get us
pairs.
a few pairs of boots before you leave.
Okay, lots of texts been coming in around the plans to restrict traffic in Dublin City, which is looking to begin next month. Patrick says, it's a good effort, but they initially announced it as a 24-hour closure, so to see it change to 7 to 7 is a little disappointing.
Yeah, if you think this is a bad idea, you've clearly never been on a bus going down the quays. A snail could get down them faster, says Mick.
Yeah, Matt says the changes are good for buses and cyclists, sure, but it's going to make all other roads around town even more congested. That is a good point as well. Okay. And you'd wonder, I know this has been in consultancy with disability groups as well, but like if you're not as able to walk as someone who actually just say you've got aches and pains or whatever. I mean, it's a long way to have to actually walk. Yeah. Never mind, actually, if you have a disabled pass or something like that. For a lot of people who are just not in the full of their health, or elderly people, it's going to pose a problem.
There will be passes and there will be allowances for some cars to get through.
Well, you would hope so.
Well, they do. Like, that's how they do in other European cities, like in Amsterdam and stuff. Like, there are exceptions, of course.
Jared says, with the rate that they're going, town will just be bicycle lanes and pedestrian crossings. In no time, it's hard enough getting into town by car now. That is very true.
Some people have to use a car to get into the city and get out of the city.
Of course, and there will be some cars allowed in for that reason, like deliveries and everything like that. They're not going to get rid of the roads.
But if you need to drive, let's say it might take you, if you need to get 2 or 3 buses from where you live into town, and it's taking you 2 hours to get into town in the morning, I mean, and it might take you half an hour to drive, you're going to want to drive. And there has to be allowances for that,
I know,
unless we did proper linked-in transport system, which we don't.
With less cars, you'd be quicker getting into town on a bus.
But you're still getting 3 buses. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the
a park and ride.
problem.
I don't know. This is what you need. You know, like we need less congestion in our city centre. Like it's bananas.
Yeah. No, look. We just need a proper transport system.
That's it.
Yes, we do. Absolutely.
Still to come. By the way, if you want to get in touch with us on that or any other matter, 0896 111 111 is how you can do it. We're going to be meeting the Irish voice behind the famous line, "Please mind the gap."
We're striking a pose with some kids yoga.
And we've occasion where on the catwalk. We're back after this short break.
Yes, good morning. If you stick your nose into the air, you can smell it.
It's not me. It's not me. It's not me.
No,
I put on
she's had a
deodorant.
shower, apparently. Yes. There is a bang of weekend knocking about. You're watching your Friday edition of Ireland AM.
Now, still to come this morning as the Dart marks its 40th anniversary this week. Have you ever wondered who is behind some of those famous train announcements? We chat.
The station is Virgin Media. The next train is Ireland AM, stopping at great conversation, news and weather.
Get your backs.
Please mind the gap.
We'll chat to broadcaster Michael Comyn, the voice of Ireland's railway lines. That's coming up shortly.
Now, even though the weather is not fully in our favour, the summer season is not over yet. If you've got a wedding coming up, for example, we'll be sharing some outfit inspo for your next big special occasion. Now, you won't look as good as Alex does, but... Yeah.
I don't think that outfit would suit me very well, but that's just me.
Might work on me, though.
Shiva's abandoned us for some fresh air out on the patio. What else have we got coming up, Shiva?
Thanks, Elaine. Shortly we'll be learning how to strike a pose on the mat with some kids yoga. And Laura Rafferty from Star Kids Yoga joins us shortly, along with some younger professionals. Laura, what are you going to be teaching us today?
So today we're just going to be going through some children's yoga. We're going to be talking about the benefits of yoga. We'll do some breathing techniques, some yoga poses, some meditation, bit of mindfulness, and just enjoy the benefits of kids yoga.
Amazing. I can't wait to get stuck in. Now, I might leave to the experts, but we'll wait and see. I might be convinced. But
now let's have a final check on your morning paper. Starting with the Irish Times, it leads with Garda Chief seeks better consultation on opening IPA centres. It writes that Garda Commissioner Drew Harris has called for a change in the way sites for new accommodation centres for international protection applicants are selected and then opened with a view of minimising violent opposition to them.
Front page of the Irish Independent opens with RTE stars resisted giving details of personal nixers. In an interview with the paper, RTE Director General Kevin Backhurst said a number of individuals did not want to provide information on their personal assets or out-of-hours work on the company's recent transparency register.
Over to the Irish Examiner, which goes with hostile states threatened to Ireland grows. It writes that Ireland's position as a global tech centre and a geographic hub for data centres and internet cables is increasingly making it a target for espionage from hostile states, according to a government security report.
Onto the tabloids now. The Irish Daily Mail reads, a proper sentence for a vile predator. They write that taxi driver Raymond Shorten has been handed a 30-year consecutive sentence in the judgment that sends a message of zero tolerance to perpetrators.
The Irish Daily Star also covers the Raymond Shorten case with how many more taxi rapes, as Gardaí plead with any other victims to come forward.
Or to the Irish Daily Mirror, which also follows the Raymond Shorten case with taxi rapist was sure he'd go free. As the paper writes that Shorten believed he would be out to watch the Euros before his recent sentencing.
The Herald's headline reads, Fat Puss Bro banned from protest site. The paper writes that the brother of veteran criminals Wayne and Alan Fat Puss Bradley is one of 4 men ordered not to trespass at the Coolock site at the centre of anti-immigration protests.
And finally, the Irish Sun writes Keane's scary movie. The paper writes that a football legend, Roy Keane, has been tipped to land a Hollywood role after his top-class acting yesterday in a new Sky ad.
Now, a survey was carried out by electrical store Curry's quizzing Irish people on their laundry habits.
Glad they didn't stop me.
How many times
Sing it,
a week?
sister.
How many times a week would you put on a wash, Martin?
I don't. On the odd occasion I might, but I would need detailed instructions. If Jenny's not in the house, I literally would have her on speakerphone.
I thought you were different, Martin. I thought you were
He
different.
does everything else.
No, I do what I can, but I just know. Washing machines and me, we just don't get on.
How about yourself, Elaine? How many times a week would you put on a wash?
I probably put it on 2 or 3 times a week, but yeah.
That's where your expertise ends.
See, I told her not to ask me about my washing machine habits. You're a brat, Shiva. A brat. Okay.
It's a brat summer.
Not only do our viewers know I can't cook to save my life, and I'm not very good at laundry either. I kept messing it up.
Can I just say, you said that yourself. I didn't said nothing of the sort.
Yeah, but I know you. Yes, I didn't know you separate your colours out from different
colours. It's like Joey
colours.
and Josh on Love Island.
Yeah.
I was leading up to it. I was.
How about you? Were you good?
I'm not bad. I'm not bad at all now. Now, it says, on average, people do wash, put about 2 to 3 times a week they put the washing machine on. 58% of Irish people have changed their laundry habits due to inflation. So they're washing at lower temperatures, so to save energy and to save money.
OK.
I was used to wash at night until I realised, because I live in an apartment block, that my neighbours probably didn't appreciate my washing machine spinning at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, so that's a bit mean.
And then I think one of the most controversial things is, how often do you change your bed sheet, or how often would you wash the bed sheets?
Well, twice a year if it needs. I'm messing.
I was only saying earlier that you smelled lovely, and now you're gone and saying that.
I'm joking.
A lot of aftershave.
But men are not the best at knowing when to change the bed sheets, in fairness, and don't call me sexist, but in general,
I know.
I'm trying to only the floor staff.
Yeah, sorry, I hate to generalise.
The guys on the floor aren't even looking at us.
They're not even listening. They heard laundry and they switched off.
But there's nothing nice than a fresh set of sheets 100%. On the bed. I changed my bed sheets the night before last, and it's just like, oh, and you slide in and this fabric softener. It's like happiness.
Can I just ask, have you ever put something into a washing machine that fits you, and when it comes out, it wouldn't fit a toddler?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wool.
Guilty.
And anything knitted.
Couple of times.
I know, I've ruined a few jumpers.
I lose all my socks. For some reason, there's a monster in my washing machine that steals the left or the right one of my socks. What happens then? I've done it on purpose.
I think there's a little pipe down the side, and if you ever do take it out, that's where your socks are.
Yeah. You're also supposed to be cleaning your washing machine every 3 months, so if you're not doing that...
I cleaned my washing machine during the week.
There you go. Look, you're not too bad at all, Elaine.
That's because it was stinking.
How are you with your washing machine? Let us know. 089 611 111. We would love to hear from you. Up next, please mind the gap. We meet the famous voice behind Ireland's railway lines. We'll be back with you in just a few minutes. This week, the Dart marks its 40th anniversary, but have you ever wondered who is behind the voice of the train? With iconic train announcements like, please mind the gap, and please stand behind the yellow line. I'm not doing it as well as this man does. Clearly.
Broadcaster Michael Comyn got the gig 25 years ago and is still going strong. Michael, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, what fun this is. Imagine being anonymous for about 25 years, nobody knowing exactly who it was at all. And then the next thing, the 40th anniversary came up on the Dart, and people were curious: who's your man? Is he AI? No, I'm very much real.
You are very much real.
But he's not AI, but he's A1.
Ah, you're good.
There you go.
Dad joke Friday. Yeah.
Listen, the best place for it, as you know. But listening to your voice, I just think, because I get the train all the time, Bantier, Millstreet,
Rathmore, Killarney, Farranfore, and Tralee. Yeah,
I know,
that's a special one. And Tralee. It's like poetry, isn't it?
How in the name of God did you get this gig in the first place?
OK, well, at the time, 25 years ago, I was an announcer on RTÉ Radio 1 at the time and on TV. And the Irish Rail people sent in a request for some sample voices. And at the time, the technology was really difficult because it wasn't as fancy. So they needed somebody whose voice could be edited and would always stay more or less consistent, because I only ever recorded the letters and words and never the full sentence. They're all joined together.
Really?
So when you hear the train now at platform 2 is the 1700 hours service, they're all individual files or words. So I got the gig because apparently they were easy enough to join them together, so it was consistent.
So every single word is just
letter,
spliced together?
Platform A, B, C, all words.
Where did you record the initial
The first ones were done in Manchester, and that was only because of the technology at the time. We're talking 25 years ago. Now they're done at home. I live in Geishel in County Offaly, and I have a studio in that upstairs in the house, and that's where they're done now.
So digital recordings. Before then it would have been ISDN lines, but now it's...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they also need people who could get the finesse, because you would say each word 3 times. So you'd say Tralee, Tralee, Tralee. And then depending on where it goes in the sentence, it would have an up intonation or a down one.
Yeah. So when you hear Irish Rail or the Dart are extending, or there's a new station opening, do you go, yes,
a gig? Absolutely. Yeah, because people are really curious to know what the royalties are like, and there aren't any.
It's just a one-off.
I know. It's
Could you imagine the money you'd make?
I know, a penny a play.
Yeah.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Okay, but I've often wondered, you know, if you are on a Dart or you are on a train and you're listening to Michael and you say, seats are not for feet.
Oh, that's a special one. Yeah.
But have you ever been tempted to go, I said seats are not for feet?
Well, I was actually travelling with a nephew of mine at one stage, and he was totally taken with the idea that it was me.
Yeah.
So I was doing supplementary announcements
along
the way. So yes, you're absolutely right. But you know that seats are not for feet is me 24 years ago.
Right.
As against the please mind the gap is more recent. So you can almost hear a difference. I have aged, unfortunately, and the voice has got a little bit more baritone as I've gone along.
So do you still, have you re-recorded any of the original ones, or is it all new ones that you actually put out now?
Funnily enough, we've completely re-recorded the full set as of about 2 months ago. So they're all new at this stage. I was just decided, you know, with the change in technology and the new darts are coming online as well, so they're all new.
But isn't there a suggestion that the Dart will actually go now to Drogheda, which is your hometown?
My hometown, exactly. And the Drogheda announcement has been done. Yeah, that's great. There's a lovely story about when I did it first, because we had a neighbour who popped into my mum, and she said, "What's Michael doing these days?" Knowing that, you know, that I had been doing something or other. And she said, "Oh, he's very busy. He's above in Dublin." "Oh, it's just I heard him above on the station announcing the trains." And she thought I was sitting in a little booth in Drogheda going, "Platform 2 is the southbound." So that was the story from back then.
I know, but like your voice is immortalised now. Really, everyone who's ever gone on. If you had to think how many people have listened to your voice in Ireland, more than Gay Byrne, more than any other broadcaster, you're just iconic.
But nobody knew who it was, and I don't think anybody really cared. I got the gig because nobody remembers. You know, sometimes, you know this from voiceovers, a producer, for example, for a documentary will want a voice that nobody will notice because they want them to focus on the story or they want them to focus on the pictures. And so if you've got a famous voice doing the voiceover, people go, oh, isn't that your one off Fair City or something? So I used to get the gigs where people wouldn't remember who I was. So it's worked.
Oh, it's handy. And that is absolutely true, because people are listening to and recognising the voice rather than listening to what the ad is.
What's the strangest thing you've had to record that, or is there anything, or is it all
I've done a lift. Doors opening. Doors closing.
That's it.
First floor. Yeah. That's it. I've done that one. That's the strangest one.
There's a lovely story that came out of the London transport system.
There is.
Do you know this story?
I do. It's Oswald Lawrence was the original voice in 1969 of the London Underground. And you know, they really celebrate their voices on the London Underground. They even have merch. You know, they've got mugs and everything with Mind the Gap on them. I know, I need to get into this. And he unfortunately died, and his wife used to travel on the train to hear his voice after his death. And then they changed his voice with a guy called Phil Sayer, great name for an announcer. And she was devastated because his voice was gone. So London Transport put his voice, her husband's voice, back on Edgware Road. So if you're ever in London, in Edgware Road, you'll notice that the please mind the gap is, actually they don't say please, he uses mind the gap, is the original guy from 1969.
Oh. But she would sit in the station just to hear his voice.
Just to hear his voice. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah. When I read that story,
God knows where my relatives will end up listening to me in, you know,
that's what I was thinking.
Sydney Parade or something like that. Exactly. Limerick Junction. That's it.
You say now you're living in County Offaly and you've got a studio upstairs.
Yes.
Downstairs?
Downstairs I have a pub. Right. I know, it's a weird thing at this stage of my life. I had an itch to scratch, and we bought a lovely little pub called Hamilton's Pub in Geishel, former pub of the year in Leinster. And it's just gorgeous, festooned with flowers at this time of the year. And, you know, we have great fun in it. It's absolutely great fun.
Do you use the lines getting people out the door?
I do. How did you hear about this? So as I'm standing at the door letting people out, I invariably will say to somebody, now, mind the gap. And half of them wouldn't know what you're talking about, which is great fun. But one or two have started to cop onto the idea now of what I'm doing. So I've even been asked recently to do some birthday requests for people now as well. So, you know, why not?
You should get on Cameo.
That's a thought. I was trying to remember the name of it. Now you've reminded me. Yeah, exactly.
Of course, you started off like so many broadcasters on Pirate Radio.
I did many, many years ago. Now you're going back to the early days of Boyneside Radio in Drogheda. I know. And when it started out first, I think the coverage was from the centre of the town to the Viaduct Bridge. It was about 500 yards. And my poor mother would be at home with the radio twisting and trying to find... I can hear you now. I can hear you now. And this is while I was still at school.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. You try in between songs doing your homework.
Yeah. Well, I used to head over from school at lunch to read the 1 o'clock news and be back in time for 1:30.
And of course, you went on to Lyric again.
Lyric, that's 25 years ago, I know.
But if you could a highlight of your career, what would it be, or what interview really sticks out for you?
There were one or two, and I wish it had been longer, but I got to interview the master himself, which was Gay Byrne, and it was only a promo for his own TV series, which he had. And, you know, but I would love to have sat down with him and talked to him about things, because I used to be on ahead of him in Lyric on a Sunday if I was filling in for somebody, and we used to have great chats about pronunciation, because he was an absolute meticulous about, you know, the soft T and right. And news was the other one he hated. So, you know, it was one of those...
instead of news.
News.
Yes.
Yeah, and Tuesday, not Tuesday.
Yeah.
You know, which is fine. But now we don't care. I think, you know, broadcasters will talk the way everybody else does, and that's probably right.
Yeah, I know. But sitting down with Gay was like sitting down with Yoda.
It was. You were at the master's feet, and you were more nervous about how stupid your question might be rather than actually what he was saying. But yeah, it was great fun.
I know, I remember doorstepping in once and I felt like an awful clown. Like, how do you ask Gay Byrne a question? Because he looks at you as if you're in Egypt.
Well,
like,
in truth, he was actually very kind.
Yeah.
So, you know,
massively
very good.
But he wouldn't air check you.
Yeah.
Fear.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you would get a... I heard you the other day with a soft tea.
All right.
Now we're all going to be conscious for the rest of the
day. I don't know if I should say anything else.
I'm very paranoid about the auto cue suddenly now, because he didn't even use one.
Yeah.
There you go. I have to say, it's an absolute pleasure talking to you. Will you do the Bantir, Mill Street, Rathmore thing for me again?
Bantir, Rathmore, Killarney, Farranfore and Tralee.
It does sound like poetry. And she's happy now.
Soothing. It's the little things, lads. The little things.
Michael, long may that
real
continue.
pleasure. Thank you both.
Good to see you. Still to come this morning, we're learning our cobras and our warriors with some kids' yoga. Better get stretching. I think I'm doing this.
Yeah, I'm not. Plus, we're on the catwalk with styles to suit any special occasion. Back after this short break.
Back. Now, yoga has been growing more and more popular for years, helping us to de-stress and focus on our mindfulness.
But tiny humans get stressed too, and practices such as yoga and meditation can make a huge difference to your child. Joining us for a lesson in kids yoga is Laura Rafferty from Star Kids Yoga, along with her very helpful little helpers, Maya, Jean-Luc and Roisin. Good morning, guys. You're all very welcome.
Thank you.
So, Laura, talk to us about how you got started with this. Were you doing it on your own kids?
Yeah, I started out by doing it at home. There was some early signs of anxiety being shown in the household, so I was looking at ways that I could help my own children, but also in a fun way. And I kept getting prompted through the internet about this particular kids yoga training and with Kidding Around Yoga, and I took that training, got certified to teach yoga and done it at home with my own kids, and we had a lot of fun doing it. It was great for them, and then COVID hit, and with all the stress, the anxiety, the uncertainty that brought, I realised that children needed yoga more than ever during that time. So I branched out and I started doing online classes then, and anytime the restrictions eased, I done face-to-face classes, workshops, and Star Kids Yoga was born through that way, and it's been wonderful.
Well, they obviously love us.
They do, I know.
Okay, whatever it may be, because two of the children are 11 and one of them is 10. Trying to convince teenagers to do yoga, is that tougher, or are they open to it?
Yes, it can be tough. Some of them do have a bit of a block. They think they're too cool for it, yeah. But I do think teenagers now more than ever really need it. They go through so much with the early teenage years, with moving into secondary school. Then they've their junior certs, their leaving certs, all the social pressure that's put on them. They're constantly carrying around their tablets, their phones. They find it very hard to switch off and just to relax. So giving them yoga gives them a safe place to be themselves, to relax, to completely switch off and to focus. And it's great to see schools bringing it in as well, that if they're not inclined to do it outside of school, they can do it in school as well.
Okay. Maybe you'll talk to us, Laura, about the benefits of yoga for children, physically and mentally. I know you touched on it there, but...
So, like, yeah, physically it can help strengthen their bodies and their flexibility. So their growing bodies, it can improve their flexibility, which can then help avoid risk of injury. It can help, like, with anxiety, stress, mindfulness, and...
It can help them concentrate.
Concentrate is a huge one as well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and does it help with memory?
Memory, yeah, it does. So by introducing, like, brain breaks throughout, if they're in school or at home, by introducing kind of brain breaks throughout the day, it does... It brings in that memory. It helps them to calm and focus. Hyperactive children or children who find it difficult to sit still, they can, through yoga, can calm their mind, calm their body, and therefore concentrate more. If they've any stress or anxiety, again, the yoga and meditation can help really alleviate that, therefore freeing up their mind, which will in turn help.
And then when those exams come around, the junior cert, particularly the leaving cert, they have these skills that will help to fight the anxiety and to be ready.
Yeah.
Would you recommend parents give this a go at home with their kids?
Oh, absolutely, yes, 100%. It particularly with younger kids, you just go with the flow, let go of expectations, and just don't be afraid to get silly with them. It's really important that kids enjoy it. It's not like a typical adult yoga class for the younger kids. You get more into the adult classes with the teenagers, but for the younger ones, we incorporate songs, dances, stories, games. You make it fun, and there's so many free online places that that you can do it. Absolutely, yeah.
Can I just ask you? Is there a starting age, or as soon as they're able to walk, can they start doing yoga?
Yeah, well, I've even had parent and baby yoga classes.
Oh, wow!
Yeah,
that's
just
cool.
like parents do baby massage and baby reflexology, baby yoga is a thing. But for kind of regular classes, if it's toddlers, it's usually the parent or the caregiver would stay with them, and it's a great bonding experience. And then, but on their own, usually kind of from age 4 or 5 onwards.
Okay, there's also the affirmations as well.
Yeah, positive affirmations that you do in class.
Yes, positive affirmations, we love them. So in our class, we use a lot of positive affirmations. They vary from forward. We do a lot of finger tapping to help with our meditation, so we can do our positive affirmations like peace begins with me, or if they're having difficulty sleeping, they could be like, I'll sleep well tonight. Then things like if we're doing like poses, like warrior pose, they could be like, I am strong, and I am loved, I matter. It's really important for them.
Absolutely, to instill that into them.
Let's see it in action.
Yeah, okay. Laura's going to give me a bit of a class. So we've got our amazing helpers over here as well.
And I'm just going to stand here and supervise.
Yeah. You can rate us out of 10, Martin. How's
fair
that?
enough, fair enough.
He's the judge.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to start off our class today by let's stand to the front of our mat, have our feet hip distance apart with our hands facing forward. Okay, we're going to close our eyes. We're going to take a deep breath in through our nose, bringing our shoulders up towards our ears. As we exhale through the mouth, let out a big sigh. Do it once more. Okay, and then we'll go into a round of our sun salutations. So we do this in our class as a call and response. That means I say the word and do the pose, and then the children say the word and do the pose. So we have our lovely namaste hands.
Okay.
By our heart. So we do namaste.
Namaste.
Butterfly up.
Butterfly up.
Butterfly down.
Butterfly down.
Ragdoll.
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 Step back.
Back.
Plank pose. Plank pose.
Plank pose.
Downward dog. Upward dog. Downward dog. Step forward. Ragdoll. Ragdoll. Butterfly up. Namaste.
Namaste. That was beautiful.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I felt as if I should join in. I didn't have a map.
Yeah.
Former.
Sorry, we'll bring one next time.
Next time. We need to talk to the children to find out.
Who are these wonderful superstars?
So we have Roisin, we have Maya, and we have Jean-Luc. So what do you enjoy about this, Roisin?
This is Maya.
I'm Maya.
Oh, you're Maya. Sorry, beg your pardon, Maya. What do you enjoy about this, Maya?
I don't really know. My favorite pose is lotus pose.
Okay.
I guess.
And what about you?
I enjoy that it's loads of fun.
Lots of fun. Well, that's what it needs to be. And Jean-Luc, the man down the end.
I don't know.
You just enjoy it. You
Yeah.
get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
You're a happy boy. Well, that's all that matters. That's all.
Well, they look happy. They look like they enjoyed it.
They certainly do.
Yay!
Sorry about that, Maya. For more information on kids yoga from Laura, head over to starkidsyoga.ie for more details.
Up next, we're on the catwalk with some occasion wear for your next big outing. We're back after this break.
You're very welcome back to Ireland AM. Even though the weather has not been on our side this summer, we all want to be bright and colourful for those big days out.
Here to give us all the inspiration we need for your next special occasion is stylist Laura Jordan. Good morning, Laura.
Good morning.
Special occasion wear.
Absolutely. So whether it is an upcoming black tie wedding, a day at the races, because we've lots coming up over the next couple of weeks, we have you set.
Okay, super. Let's start.
So we're starting with the suit. When we look at suits for summer, we're trying to move away from the navy, the black, the dark grey, into something a little bit different. And we've done that here with the green piece that we have on the lovely Alex. What we are seeing in terms of trends for suiting is a little bit of a mix and match. So we have the green colour coming through the suit, and then we've changed the colour of the waistcoat underneath, and we've used a tie to blend both of those colours together. So again, that's the anchor that pulls the two other colours together, which is what we're looking for. We also have a really lovely cut. See the cut on that waistcoat? Yes. It comes gently down the side to a point just in the mid-chest. It's really flattering. That actually gives you your shape on your torso. So when you're choosing a suit, it's something to keep in mind. In terms of the other details that we see on this look, and again, we're thinking practically for a day outside. So we're looking at sunglasses, we're looking at, you know, those little additional pieces that you want to enhance your outfit with rather than grabbing something at the last minute.
And
so
of course, a bit of splash of colour with the tie.
Exactly, yes. So putting the bit of floral through there, and there's a lighter blue in it also. So if you wanted to do a lighter blue on the jacket, there's mix and match always from the tie. So that's what you use to blend everything in. And
the devil wears Prada, but so does Alex, because we're looking at designer prices for designer sunglasses here.
Absolutely. So these are a treat, a gift, something you say, this is a product I'm going to have for years. So when we look at our sunglasses and some of our watch piece actually that we have on Alex, which we'll see in a moment, that's what we have in mind. It's something special. And this piece here is from Hartman Jewellers in Galway, located on William Street, and they have a huge selection on their website as well, which you can order from there. They have specialists in watches and timepieces, so they will have the gift for your occasion in store and online. And when we look at the shoes, we've tied in also the navy that we see in the waistcoat with the footwear. When you have a suit, I like to wear either a navy or a black shoe with it instead of a brown shoe if it's a formal occasion. So a brown shoe with a suit dresses it down. but when you are going black tie, you see those words on an invitation.
Dark shade.
Dark shoes.
Okay.
Yeah, and if ever you're asked, we say you never see Prince William in a brown shoe. Okay. So that's your...
That we're aspiring.
I never knew that, but I'll be looking at his shoes for now. But for now, I am looking
Look
at this.
Drama, drama, drama.
Oh, my Lord.
This is eye-catching, isn't
Yes.
it? So again, we've got Galway races next week. It is a time to let the eye be caught from judges, etc. So this is most definitely the way to do it. And red is a huge colour this season, so there's a lot to choose from in this colourway, which is fantastic. The hat really is the showstopper piece here. This is handmade by Karen Adele. She has a lot of orders, obviously, at this time of the year for race season, and a lot of winners too, with a recent Ladies' Day win at Kilbeggan races. So she is the queen of hats for this season, without doubt, and has made this specially.
You can pick up the fuchsia pink there as well.
Yes. So again, it's just having that multi-tone. Sometimes when you have a 1D colour, it doesn't show movement, and you want to have a little bit of movement when you're obviously moving with the hat. And I love the way the wind catches it gently as well, with the way the feathers are arranged. In terms of what we've paired with it, when you're putting sunglasses with a headpiece, you have to think about it. I know, in terms of the colour, the shape, the tone, and that's what we've done here with this piece. The dress, which is falling nicely from a cut underneath the bust there, and again, it has lots of movement in it. This piece is simple, so you could rewear it multiple times by changing. Red's a colour that goes well with both metals, so we've gone with gold with it here, but you could easily wear silver with it at Christmas, change it up.
Yeah.
It gives you versatility, which you don't actually expect with a colour like red, because you think it's very memorable, but it actually is more versatility than we give it credit for as a shade. And then really simple V-neck on it here and a flow down. I've gone with a block heel for the fact you might be outside on grass, etc. You need to have that in mind.
Thinking.
Yeah, just to think ahead on that one. And then really simple, the little bit of detail and gold and glitter matches in nicely with the bag, because again, we think ahead for what we need to fit into the bag for our day out. And we can see the details in the bag mirroring in the jewellery, which we have here. So as we've gone for gold in the bracelet watch, again, this is a piece of jewellery while also being a watch, and that's what I like about it. It's something that blends in with an elegant look.
A gold watch you have forever.
You
Yeah.
said it.
Yeah.
And then a simple ring also, which is again both solid gold and both investment pieces. And similarly with the earring, which we have here, the carat earring, just to letting that little bit of sparkle come through. We don't want it to compete with the headpiece. Similarly with the glasses, we just have the little bit of metal detailing at the side and quite a chic finish to it. So head to toe, ready to go.
Gorgeous.
That colour is
Fabulous,
stunning.
isn't it?
Absolutely
Yeah,
stunning.
nice.
So eye-catching.
And if you're not a fan of the bright colours, you can go classic Audrey Hepburn with the black and white for Ascot.
You said it. So again, black is such an unusual colour to see in summer, but for the last 4 months, all our fashion magazines have been using black for summer. It's like, I'm really interested to try this out. No more than with the red, it's something that we can change the accessories for occasion, for time of year, and it's going to look like something quite different, and it is completely timeless. Again, this hat was handmade specifically for this red colour tone and for the velvet too. So again, it's just that literally the top on that outfit to really give it the status and the elegance that the rest of the look mirrors in with. So again, there is some options for Karen to, you can rent or buy pieces she already has made, but if you're looking for something to be made specifically with the dress or colour you have chosen, she'll work with you on that. In terms of the coordinating pieces with it, the earrings, again, a beautiful dramatic drop here. The sparkle is remarkable in them, and it is mirrored in the tennis necklace as well. So when you have, earrings with this much detail, necklace with this many stones, you really do want the neckline to let that. That's a CZ, yeah, cubic zirconia. And when you look at the way it's falling on the neckline, it's just needed to frame nicely, and same with the bracelets. So we have the 3 all from the same range within the Hartman's collection. The dress, velvet, nicely cut on the waist, which we like to see. Velvet has a bit of movement in it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not as restrictive as other fabrics, and it makes it more comfortable, particularly for a full day out.
And
then
also
simple
velvet
shoes
for
with it.
summer. I would never assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Kind of a
summer,
wintry.
velvet for summer in Ireland, not velvet for summer abroad.
Okay,
Is
you got me.
It's very chilly.
Yeah.
is a key discernment there between, this is not for a wedding in Italy, but most definitely one in Ireland or a day out in Ireland. And then a simple block heel from Green's Shoes. Again, there's stores throughout Galway, Limerick and Donegal. The bag bringing in the detail we see on the earrings, necklace and bracelet. Just has that right amount of sparkle to pull it through, and it doesn't interrupt the cut and flow of the dress because it's a handheld clutch. There's not something going on the shoulder. And this dress, again, could be worn lower on the shoulder. That's a two-wear shoulder option there, again, if you want to make it look different for another occasion.
Okay, very smart now.
Back to the separates, again, for menswear. What we're looking at here, we saw the change in the waistcoat in the first look that Alex wore with the suit. This is for someone who says, you're not getting me into a suit. I don't need it. I'm not buying one. It's not a good investment for me. So how do you work a really smart look with separates that can be reworn? And Best Menswear are focusing on this a lot at the moment, and they have their suit specialists in store who will also select the mix and match options.
So you can trick them into basically wearing a suit, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. The shirt, similar to before, really simple, and this shirt, it's covered on the buttons by the tie, but they have little dainty navy buttons on it, which means it's got that little bit of detail. If you weren't wearing a tie, to give that option also, we've gone with the same waistcoat. Again, really nicely cut in terms of where the buttons land. These are chinos. They have the look of a suit trouser, so they're more comfortable, but yet they'll also work with a t-shirt and trainers. So you're getting that rewear option, which we always like to see.
I think ombre shoes, I'm not sure if that's the right
That's an excellent
phrase.
Excellent phrasing. It is indeed. They're leather finish, but they have a darker tone at the front, and the wash is a little bit more washed out at the back. So yes, a double tone on the shoe, just for a point of difference, and the navy laces as well to pull it in nicely. And then we've got the watch and sunglasses as before from Mullingar and from Hartman's.
Gorgeous. Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much for joining us now. Coming up on Ireland AM tomorrow, she's a true Liberty Belle, iconic Dublin songstress. Imelda May joins us.
Belfast-born comedic virtuoso Vittoria Angeloni pays us a visit in studio.
Plus, get ready to revitalise your body and mind as we find out all about the benefits of cupping.
All that plus more tomorrow at 9. See you then.